And the year is 2022. Good morning, Uganda, and my name is Philomena Mastiko. Well, we are officially on a countdown, just a couple of days, so that we start or we get into the whole reason as to why December is a big deal, and that's Christmas Day. Speaking of Christmas Day, today is Go Caroling Day. Now, once upon a time, carols were really a big deal. Before we, transitioned into this whole digital life, we got very many distractions. If you're anything like me, you know what I'm talking about. These are one of the main events that we always looked, forward to, Christmas carols. I don't know if, we are still into that habit or we have carried on that culture, but I know that they used to be a big deal. And as much as people try to do that on 24th, 23rd, today is actually the official day when you're supposed to go caroling. But I'm not saying if you don't go today, you can't go days after that. You still have time. Well, clearly we are into the Christmas mood, but on a sad note, things are really not going on well, especially when it comes to our roads. Now, we did have a police come out to make statements and also caution people on how they should behave on the roads. It's very unfortunate that already we have seen results coming in, and sadly we did lose the Serere County MP, that is the late Honorable Patrick Abake, with his wife who perished in an accident that happened yesterday morning. So this is a call of caution to everybody that is going to be using these roads, especially during this time. I know the excitement is up and crazy. Everybody is excited to go wherever they want to go and spend their Christmas, but at what cost? And for us here at Good Morning Uganda, we'll definitely be reminding you every single time as Christmas Day comes closer. When I say we, of course, myself, Robert, Mollen, and Felix. Well, Robert, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Nice to have you back.
It feels good to be back in the house.
How has it been? Where you were?
Beautiful. I could not complain. Yes.
Well, I'm also fine, apart from a few sad moments.
Yes.
When you talk about road accidents, we can't forget to talk about the Mbare Tirinyi road accident.
Yes.
Yesterday, we saw the life of Sere, Member of Parliament, Honorable Patrick Okabe, like you've said, and the wife, Christine, perished in that accident. Well, this is a man I would say he has been a very interesting character. First, he left the pulpit. He was a bishop for politics. That was in 2016 when he came to Parliament. And we remember in the 10th Parliament, he was actually the chairperson of the TESO parliamentary group. But also he has been a member of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, the Local Government Committee of Parliament. And he was a man that whenever there was anything regarding Bible issues, he was very learned because he had a master's degree in theology. He had a diploma in Bible teaching and training. So I feel the country has lost a man. He was one of the MPs who would say men of integrity in Parliament. I'll not forget that at the time he had a land issue. He gave out land in Bali, and a few people were contesting it. But he came out and said, no, I gave so. So you're not fair to try and steal this or rob this from this person. So I would say the people Rover say have lost a great son of the soil. But also, away from that, we saw yesterday a police raid that killed 2 people, suspected terrorists.
Yes.
And they were able to recover bomb-making material, but also 2 guns. And to me, I think that is a little bit of relief to the public, though we wonder every time when such happen. And communities have all the stories to tell, but you ask them then, where were you?
Why did it take you this long? Yes.
When you listen to people, they're getting stories from, many seem to be suspicious, some seem to be knowing something, but they're all like, we are good at narrating when things have happened, and you're like,
Well, don't be that person. Don't wait for things to really get out of hand and you start giving your side of story. Anything suspicious that you notice should be brought to book. Tell the people in authority. I believe we all know the people in authority in our societies, in our communities. This is quite a very confusing time and very distractive time, but also you need to be alert. Well, Felix, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you, Philo?
I'm lovely.
How have you been?
Lovely.
Where have you been?
I've been around. I've been around, Felix.
On top of how you are, where have you been?
Well,
I should say I missed you so much.
Oh,
I'm glad
I
you're
missed
here.
you too.
Did you?
I did.
You know, you don't have to answer I miss you too with
I mean it, Felix. I mean it. We are not
Just like
bringing
last
this
time I
kind
was
of
telling you.
energy during this week.
Just like last time I was telling you. Am I supposed to answer I love you too when someone says they love you?
If you don't mean it, don't say it.
That's the thing. And
But I
people
mean
take
it.
offense in it. When someone says, like, yeah. Like sometimes when someone says, I love you, and you're like, okay. They're like, I said I love you. I'm like, yeah, I had. Yeah, I said, I'm like,
Felix,
That's-
some of these things you need
so
to...
Philo, when I say I missed you, you don't have
Yeah.
to say you.
I missed you, Felix, and I mean it. I don't lie.
Okay,
I
thank
hardly
you.
lie. No. For real. Deep
But-
down
but-
in my heart.
Okay, I appreciate that. But anyway, it's good to have you, Philo. It's been quite some time, and I hope you had a good time wherever you were.
I did
And
have some
you're
good
fresh, I must say. Where I've not been here, we had a couple of stories about Christmas.
Spill the tea, please.
We had some good conversations about Christmas, and definitely everyone is excited about Christmas,
Okay.
which is around the corner. And Mollen and Kirabo made vow to being kinder than they have been. So when you see them change in character, know it's...
And I want to demonstrate this, even just on set. I want to do that. You've not been around, I kept this for you.
This is so lovely. But why don't you guys show this love on every other occasion?
Yeah.
Because I knew you were returning
Same
to me.
question.
Well, you know what? I am truly appreciative of this. Well, Mollen, good morning. People are saying things here. I don't know. Do you want to defend yourself?
It is Christmas. It's a Christmas spirit. So I am only appreciating what they're saying and what they're doing. Otherwise, good morning, Uganda. Welcome to a Tuesday where it seems to be full of love, and most especially from Robert. Felix here is just a little bit bitter. I don't know why, but since Philo is
bitter?
back, maybe we'll work on that bitterness to make
Yes.
sure that we get you into the real Christmas mood. But you did talk about Christmas carols, Philo.
Yes.
I think it's also one of those moments like toward Christmas that build up the anticipation and, you know, the whole big deal about Christmas. And I was talking to someone yesterday, and they were saying for them Christmas, they could choose to be anywhere,
Yes.
and it's okay. I'm like, how are you okay even, for example, being alone on Christmas? Christmas is all about, you know, having huge excitement, and how are you going to achieve that alone? Sometimes it's just about you being with family, being with friends. If you cannot have any of those, at least be somewhere for a fun activity. Take trips, one of those Christmas trips that people take. I believe in
Where is
that.
Mollen Flo?
I may
And
be having reasons as to why that person would rather spend Christmas alone.
it's
Later
just
on, I'll
not,
be
it's
sharing
not,
with you.
why are you spending Christmas alone?
Let me
It's
tell
just,
you,
it
Mollen, when you're with
doesn't add
people,
up.
you spend money.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
how,
and we don't
how
have
about
money
you
right
go
now.
attend one of those, you know, things that people...
You'll be asked to contribute. So if you don't want to be there and
but I
make
think my
contributions.
favorite moment towards Christmas was always the Christmas carols, and there is always that period where, I don't know, they call them angels, something like that. They come singing to doorsteps.
No.
That was
The
always
choral
my
angels,
favorite.
I think,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, something like that. But now we have events like the Cantana, I think, the one that,
Cantanta.
Cantanta, yeah, that you see and you're like, wow, that's the real spirit of Christmas. And for me, Amori is, you know, up to all that. And obviously, I think there is much more that we can still build up towards Christmas.
I just want to know from Felix, exactly, Felix and Robert. If
I
you-
did participate
yes.
in one of those carol angels.
Did you grow up?
I did when I was
All
younger.
kids have been part of all those things.
Yeah, I have been.
I was
As
never
who?
part of those. I was
That's why
always
I'm
put
asking,
on
where
the
did people
side
grow up?
because
Like-
of the voices and all that. But I appreciated them. I mean, I always waited for
So
them.
which part did Mollen play in the because of course they play the birth of Jesus, then the angels, then the wise men. Who are you?
Who do you think I was? Look,
Kirabo just
look
gave
at me and just predict who I was. I think that is obvious.
Kirabo,
But
who
anyway.
are you in those plays?
But anyway, although
In the story of Jesus,
The Father
what part did
Christmas,
you
right?
actually play?
King Hillary.
Okay.
Who did what? You know what King Herod did actually?
The man knows his.
You got the
knows
right.
his part.
You got the right.
I don't know, Felix, what part did you always play? But you look like somebody who would actually
Joseph.
say.
Yeah, come on. I was the son, the father of Jesus.
it's that
I mean,
obvious. Felix
you know,
wouldn't play anything else.
I had to be the guy who protects Jesus, you know, be
We were
there
among
to...
the animals. You would also look for those animals lines properly. Eh?
They build a sheep.
Yeah, then they build a sheep. One is a goat, so they have something over. And Felix, I highly doubt you missed him.
I don't know why. I don't know why everybody is shunning from the whole sheep part, but I think sheep is a symbolic animal in the Bible. And away from that, I don't know how you people want to interpret that, but we'll find that out.
You make the sheep in a place.
Well, it's good morning, Uganda. If you're not yet anywhere close to the festivities, I mean, we are trying as much as we can to make sure that you're in the spirit, seeing as we just have a couple of days to get there. But also getting back to Uganda, what's happening when it comes to land fraud. This has become quite a very big issue, and government has decided to crack down everybody who is involved in it, you know, because people have started applying, or they've been applying, all in the name of wanting to have special titles, but actually most of these people are highly involved in land fraud, especially when it comes to land division. So government says we are going to be a bit hard and tight. If you have been fully involved in this, maybe you need to take a step back and do the right thing. That and many, many more stories on the local scene, and Robert and Felix over here will be taking us through some of these stories.
Well, we'll start it on a sad note. That is the death of Sere, Member of Parliament and wife, residents of Nabao Town Council in Gudaka District have been reviewed. The constituency Member of Parliament Patrick Okabe and wife Christine. The legislator was traveling in a Toyota Land Cruiser, registration number UBK 995F, heading to Kampala when trammed into a Isuzu box body, registration number KCX 071K that was heading to Mbale. Honorable Patrick Okabe died on the spot, while his wife Christine died on the way to Mbale Regional Referral Hospital. The driver survived uninjured. Onlookers at the scene of the accident blamed the accident on reckless and overspeeding by the Isuzu driver who crossed from his driving lane before crashing head-on with the Land Cruiser. Meanwhile, the LC chairperson, Bikomba Sel Nabogwe Town Council, Nicholas Kamoru, explained that Naboe is a black spot for accidents. He called upon government to put measures that curb accidents in the area.
Now, police has confirmed the search for 7 suspected ADF rebels who have been sneaked into the country from RDC and is still on, as they are reported to be in a hiding various places of the country. According to the police spokesperson, Fred Nanga, among the 7 are the 2 rebels who were killed last night in Chito, Matuga, Wakiso district.
And moving on, Uganda Police has directed all territorial commanders to intensify traffic patrol operations and enhance other Fika Salama operations on major highways. This follows the increasing accidents in this festive season. The traffic police spokesperson, Farida Nampima, confirmed the manhunt of a driver of the Isuzu box body, which crushed the Sahel legislator Patrick Okabe last morning along Baratidini Road. Traffic police has reported 164 accidents that have led to death and loss of lives in the last 2 weeks, majorly on highways. This is attributed to reckless driving in the festive season and excitement, among others.
Now, the Interreligious Council has vowed to fight the emerging vice of homosexuality in the country. This has been communicated by the Archbishop, Right Reverend Stephen Kazimba Mugaru, while delivering Christmas end-of-year message at the press conference held at their Interreligious Council office in Mengo. As the festive season approaches, most especially Christmas, religious leaders led by the Chairperson, Interreligious Council, Reverend Stephen Kazimba Mugaru, have vowed to fight against emerging homosexuality, which has increased among the youth. Now, Mugalu says such vices are due to the high rates of unemployment among youth generation. While delivering the speech, Kazimba also highlighted on the challenges faced by Ugandans, which need to be addressed in order to fight homosexuality.
And looking at some of the international stories, we start off with former Hollywood film mogul Harvey Weinstein, who has been found guilty of 3 counts of sexual assault, including rape in Los Angeles. The 2-month trial had how Weinstein used his influence to lure women into private meetings before attacking them. The 70-year-old faces up to 24 years in prison when sentenced. He's already serving 23 years in jail after he was convicted of rape and sexual assault at his first trial in New York about 2 years ago. Weinstein was found guilty on Monday of rape and 2 sexual assault charges involving an accuser known as Jane Doe 1 to protect her anonymity. Now, the jury could not reach verdicts on allegations by Jennifer Sibel Newsom, the wife of California Governor Gavin Newsom, and a woman known as Jane Doe 2. Now, a mystery was declared on those counts. He was also acquitted of sexual battery against an accuser known as Jane Doe 3. And things are really not looking so good for Donald Trump, as U.S. lawmakers investigating the riot at the United States Capitol last year have recommended filing criminal charges against Donald Trump, accusing the former president of inciting insurrection. During a public meeting on Monday, the congressional panel voted unanimously to refer 4 criminal charges against Trump to the Department of Justice, which has the final say on whether to indict the ex-president. The recommended charges are inciting, assisting or aiding insurrection, disrupting an official proceeding, conspiracy to defraud the U.S., and conspiracy to make a false statement to the federal government. The committee believes that more than sufficient evidence exists for a criminal referral of former President Trump for assisting or aiding and comforting those at the Capitol who engaged in a violent attack on the United States, Congressman Jamie Raskin said as he outlined the panel's findings.
And back in Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa wins as uncertainty beckons for South Africa. Now, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has just won another term as head of the governing African National Congress, ANC, after a turbulent few weeks in which it looked like he might resign or be pushed out of his own party over an alleged corruption scandal. But has Mr. Ramaphosa emerged stronger, or is he, and with him, the ANC, even the national economy, or an unstoppable downward trajectory? Now, there was a time, some 5 years back, when many South Africans flirted earnestly with the belief that their country had found its savior, and that Mr. Ramaphosa, a sober man of obvious integrity and experience, would put a stop to a grim decade of corruption and economic decline. In fact, that was Mr. Ramaphosa's own sales pitch, his earnest promise of urgent reform, of renewal, and for young democracy that knew it had lost its way. Today, some still believe that he is the winner. After all, he has just emerged victorious once again from his party's bruising national elective conference. And in climate news, the United Nations promises a no-nonsense climate summit in 2023. UN will host the climate summit in 2023 to spur action from governments on the climate crisis, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says, as the goal of avoiding global warming of more than 1.5 degrees Celsius begins to slip out of reach. Now, speaking at a year-end news conference on Monday, Guterres said the world was moving in a wrong direction on climate change and that governments have fallen short on their commitments to bring down emissions. Guterres said the UN would host the summit in September with the aim of holding governments accountable and demanding tangible plans for improvement. Now, the invitation is open, but there is a price of entry, and the price of entry is non-negotiable, credible, serious, and new climate action, Guterres said. He adds that this will be a no-nonsense summit, no exceptions, no compromises, and that there will be no room for greenwashers, backsliders, and blame shifters.
Well, that and many more stories that you can look up to and probably match up and see how we are doing on the international scene, on the local scene. A lot is still happening in as much as we are getting ready for Christmas. Speaking of which, what have you done for your health this morning? Or what do you plan on doing for your health this morning? How have you prioritized it for the last couple of days? Do you feel like you're in a better health position? Well, if your response to that is no, well, the man himself here has quite some wise words to share.
Jesus Christ. And with celebrations, we have eating, and sometimes eating excessively. We have traveling, some people have to move. We have some bit of dancing and enjoyment. But for you to enjoy all these, you must be healthy. Now, don't miss out on the good food because you're ill and you can't enjoy the meal. Don't miss out on the partying because you're ill, you're not fine, your body is not responding properly, so you choose to go to the bedroom and have a rest. So how do you prevent that? Boost your immune system with Hallelujah Jinga tea drink, Hallelujah banana fruit juice, and Hallelujah tamarind drink. Now what these do, they boost your immune system. And when they do that, you save money. So you can buy more eats, you can travel, you can enjoy life to the fullest this festive season. Make that wise decision.
Well, you don't want to be the one that he's feeling ill or you're not feeling all right while others are busy celebrating. I have been there and probably I'll be sharing that story later on. It was not a good experience, so I wouldn't really wish it on anybody. We're going for a break. When we get back, we'll be having more conversations, and also you need to look forward to the live feed we'll be giving you later on Good Morning Uganda, coming in from the Archbishop of Church of Uganda, that is Samuel Stephen Kazimba Mugalo, who will be passing on his Christmas message. What will you be picking from what he has to say? Well, you do have to stick around to wait for all of that and much more. But today is Tuesday. Well, we have not branded that day yet, but I think that is going to be part of our resolutions for next year, I guess. Yeah. So today we'll go with the flow, and when we get back, we'll be having more conversations. We'll be continuing shortly after this.
Extra.
Well, it is officially the 20th day of December here on Good Morning Uganda, of course, of the world. The month is December and the year is 2022. Good morning, Uganda, and my name is Philomena Mastiko. Well, we are officially on a countdown, just a couple of days, so that we start or we get into the whole reason as to why December is a big deal, and that's Christmas Day. Speaking of Christmas Day, today is Go Caroling Day. Now, once upon a time, carols were really a big deal. Before we, transitioned into this whole digital life, we got very many distractions. If you're anything like me, you know what I'm talking about. These are one of the main events that we always looked, forward to, Christmas carols. I don't know if, we are still into that habit or we have carried on that culture, but I know that they used to be a big deal. And as much as people try to do that on 24th, 23rd, today is actually the official day when you're supposed to go caroling. But I'm not saying if you don't go today, you can't go days after that. You still have time. Well, clearly we are into the Christmas mood, but on a sad note, things are really not going on well, especially when it comes to our roads. Now, we did have a police come out to make statements and also caution people on how they should behave safe on the roads. It's very unfortunate that already we have seen results coming in, and sadly we did lose the Serere County MP, that is the late Honorable Patrick Abake, with his wife who perished in an accident that happened yesterday morning. So this is a call of caution to everybody that is going to be using these roads, especially during this time. I know the excitement is up and crazy. Everybody is excited to go wherever they want to go and spend their Christmas, but at what cost? And for us here at Good Morning Uganda, we'll definitely be reminding you every single time as Christmas Day comes closer. When I say we, of course, myself, Robert, Mollen, and Felix. Well, Robert, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Nice to have you back.
It feels good to be back in the house.
How has it been where you were?
Beautiful. I could not complain. Yes.
Well, I'm also fine, apart from a few sad moments.
Yes.
When you talk about road accidents, we can't forget to talk about the Mbare Tirinyi road accident.
Yes.
Yesterday, we saw the life of Sere, Member of Parliament, Honorable Patrick Okabe, like you said, and the wife Christine, perished in that accident. Well, this is a man I would say he has been a very interesting character. First, he left the pulpit. He was a bishop for politics. That was in 2016 when he came to Parliament. And we remember in the 10th Parliament, he was actually the chairperson of the TESO parliamentary group. But also he has been a member of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, the Local Government Committee of Parliament. And he was a man that whenever there was anything regarding Bible issues, he was very learned because he had a master's degree in theology. He had a diploma in Bible teaching and training. So I feel the country has lost a man. He was one of the MPs who would say men of integrity in Parliament. I'll not forget that at the time he had a land issue, he gave out land.
Was brought to you by Gatawo with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial star 165 star 5 star 3 hash to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
The Ministry of Health informs the public that there are confirmed cases of Ebola in Uganda. We, however, urge the public not to panic as the situation is being managed. The Ministry of Health further reminds the public to be on the lookout for any persons who may show signs and symptoms of Ebola. These include high body temperature, abdominal pains, diarrhea, vomiting, bleeding from the body openings such as the nose, eyes, and mouth. Please inform the nearest health worker immediately if you see anyone with these signs and symptoms. To prevent Ebola from spreading further, please take the following preventive measures: regular washing of hands with water and soap, avoid handshaking and hugging, avoiding any contact with any suspected Ebola patients. Any person who dies suddenly should not be buried but reported to the nearest health worker or LC1 immediately. For further information, please call Ministry of Health toll-free number on 0800 100 066 or send a free SMS to your report on 8500. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF and World Health Organization.
The festive season is here and it's Christmas in 4G from Airtel. Get the most affordable 4G smartphone in Uganda, now heavily discounted from 250,000 shillings to 150,000 shillings only. Yes! 150,000 shillings only to keep you connected to your loved ones this holiday season.
Dial star 175 star 94 hash to activate free 1 GB instantly and 100% double data on all weekly and monthly bundles for 3 months. Get one today while stock lasts from the nearest Airtel shop. Happy holidays this festive season with Airtel, the smartphone network.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. Welcome to the newsreel just 5 minutes after the hour of 7 a.m. 20th of December 2022. My name is Philomena Mastiko. If you're still with us, it's quite a pleasure. And if you have just joined in on the party, well, you're not too late. We're still here to discuss, have conversations, talk to us, interact with us with all the social media platforms that we do have. You can use our WhatsApp number, you can get into our Twitter platform, and remember that the hashtag is UBCGMU. We are getting closer to Christmas, and there is a lot that happens during these times. Some are good things, some are pretty sad happenings. Other things will leave you confused, others will leave you anxious and exasperated. But all of that, in all of that, how ready are you? This morning, our discussion is going to take the direction of vigilance in our communities, in our societies, especially now that we are drawing closer to days like this. And it's not just about Christmas. We have days that come in after. We have very many people that are off work. We have very many people that won't be around their homes. Others are going to travel and all that. Now, when we talk about community vigilance here is what responsibility, what part have you played, you as an individual? Now, to back this up, we did see a story that we actually, hinted on a couple minutes ago when we were starting, where police actually did come out to have two suspects that were killed in the raid that they did carry out in Wakiso district. And these two people are dead after they were actually shot by the police flying squad. And while explaining the matter, the police did make links of the two victims to the attack against a police post in Bosika in Wero district, where again we did lose two police officers, and another incident that happened in Chabadaza in Botambala district, again that saw about two residents that were shot and killed, while the police post in the area was also set ablaze. Now, for the last couple of days, we have been seeing quite a chain of attacks on all these police posts. But in all of this, minus police and the victims, we're just wondering, as a community, what have we done? Have we seen this? Have we reported any suspicious, people? Have we done our part? Now, this is what we're going to be discussing. I mean, how best can you do that as a community member? What do you see that will tick you off and you realize that, hey, maybe I need to go and report, to the authorities in my local area? And maybe just to start off with you, Robert, in terms of vigilance. And I mean, we don't even want to cut it only to these raids. I mean, for the last couple of months, there is a lot that happens in our communities, but you feel like as members in these societies, we do a lot. Do you feel like maybe we are vigilant enough, or everybody has just decided to let things be the way they are? If they turn out good, well and good. If they don't turn out, well, we complain and move on.
Well, I'm going to date back about 3 decades back. And of course, my colleague Felix Nkunda will testify to what I'm going to say, because there could be those that are just hearing of what I'm going to be talking about. My sister Mastiko may not have been around, but I'm sure Comrade Nkunda was around, and he knows these things very well. Now, over a spell of time that Ugandans have gotten used to peace, and they have become so complacent, they have gotten so used to the peace that we've been having for a long time. I just want to take you back to the days that I said my brother can witness. If you remember very well, when the NRM had just conquered power or taken over power, we had what they called RCs. Now, later they were changed into LCs. What these would do is there was general vigilance, because people still had issues of insecurity. There was still some bit of maybe rebel activity, some bit of armed robberies, So these committees were formed, right even from the bush. We are told this is the structure that they had, that they later brought to the Wananchi. But because then insecurity was so common, so people were aware, were alert, and these structures were working. Now, with the stability that now government comes in, they have a professional army, they have a police, there is more revenue that government is collecting, you can have a police patrol move through the village. Ugandans now left security for all of us. Because by then, even there wasn't, I would say, that rich class that had emerged because the war just ended, everyone was trying to sort themselves. So, now, when a rich class came in, or the middle class, people, we left the grass-thatched houses. I don't know, Philo, when you last saw a grass-thatched house. But those days, my brother will tell you, they were very visible and very common. He usually shares his stories. He tells me some of these things. So, what happened now? People got money. People moved away from relying on community for security. Because previously, we had the likes of Gwanga Muje. A person would know that my security depends on Felix, depends on Mastiko, depends on my neighbor. How? It was all about Kubanduru. Babo, 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 babo. Then you get spears, you get pangas, nemutaiza. Then nab that thief. Because fences were not that very common. People would have their compounds and a few things so. Now this middle class began to see security not as a community issue. And that is where the mistake, well, that's where it all began. Kirabo says, I bought my plot of land. I can have a fence. I can put electricity on top. I go to these service providers, Sekanyola Plus. I get that electricity. I have CCTV cameras. I have my German shepherds. Or I have a security guard from a company. So what happens? Me, I'm safe. I come home, I'm driving. Some of them even have escorts. Some have licensed guns or pistols. So they moved away from seeing security as a community thing now to individualism. That is why there are a number of parts of this country that you would go to. We are in Kampala Metropolitan. And almost everyone is having a fence, which is not a crime. I'm not accusing anybody. But I'm trying to show you the genesis to why we got here. Today, previously, you would not go to a man's home and he doesn't have a spear, he doesn't have a panga, or a stick for security. You would not make an alarm and nobody comes to your rescue. Because it was known, I depend on you, you depend on me. So, with that coming in, you know sometimes managing success is a problem. So that coming in, now there is peace. Now we've also emerged in terms of resources available. A person knows, for me, if I have someone's number, I can just call.
Yeah.
On my face, they are nabbed. So that is where we lost it all. That now no one thinks of their responsibility for a brother or depending on another person for their security. We all know it is me, and maybe if all fails, the state will protect me. But previously, those days, we knew how even this government got the success through the wananchi. They would network. Okay, let's do this. So the moment we lost that and began taking security as individuals, community responsibility went away. That is why even though you have LCs, that a person will simply go, will say, I know so and so, why would I go to the LC? You know, a person to come in a community, I've bought my land, I've used my lawyer, which is not a crime, it is very okay, but doesn't seek courtesy of going and informing the locals that, well, I'm a new member in your community, I'm so and so, I do this job, and I'm happy to be a new member. And maybe also assist with anything that regards for community work.
Yes.
Those are not issues. Someone says, why would I need them? If I have a problem, I know Mastiko. Mastiko's number, as long as in Jirina, I know Nkunda's number. I know Kirabo's number, meaning people in security, not us.
Yes.
I know their numbers. So, bankwatira kochi, you know? No, I have my lawyer can handle. So we've moved away from the fundamentals that built the peace that we are enjoying today to something I call artificialness. Because even with all these fences and all that, there is no security that beats community involvement. Like those days where they will try to break into someone's home and the entire village here, people are making alarms, here people are drumming jerry cans, here they're drumming drums, and you know.
Well, yes, I totally get what you're talking about. And you also did mention about fundamentals. And in any community, I feel like there is fundamental leadership. Felix, you know, we have the LCs, LC1, LC2, and they have certain responsibilities they fulfill in this. Now, when we come to discussions like these, I mean, I think we really need to know, yes, why you as a community member, you need to be vigilant. But looking at the way the stakes are right now, the local leadership, has it done enough to ensure that they play their part? And anyway, what's their part in all of this? Because yes, we are looking at the residents, but we also do have our leaders, our immediate leaders before, you know, we take things higher. What is the role and responsibility of this leadership, and have they lived up to it?
Well, of course, it's a double-edged one, but one would say they can only do so much. I can start with that. And later on, probably delve into what Robert seemingly wants to discuss as the was. But the biggest question doesn't want to answer is, how did you get where you're complaining about? And that should be the real discussion, because if you're trying to find a way forward, you should find out what went wrong. The existences of the systems are still in place. The RRC, the LCs now are in place. But what went wrong? If you're talking about vigilance in terms of community and the absence of the same lately, the big question is, what went wrong? What went down? When you talk about security, and it is cast in the truth of all this, that security is not state-owned. You can only go far if you don't involve communities, and this is the beginning of everything. However, when you talk about community, with my little study, I don't want to say experience, I've not done that kind of work, but I know that I was able, when you do into the realms of criminology and penology, and then you bring in the community psychology and the relationship between community psychology or psychological effect on communities and the rate of criminality, you find that there's one most binding factor there in between, which is compellment. And compellment of the peoples in those societies is not a must expectation, but it is gradual appreciation by those communities that communities must feel compelled to be a part of the security systems. When you have a country and the state of security at the face of it looks like it is present for some people, for some category of people, against the others, it kills the spirit of compellment in societies to be a part of the security structures. I can tell you one of the most flashing videos that came on social media probably last weekend. We saw one of a lady socialite who was being guarded by about 3 or 5 officers, carrying her bag, and I think she had gone to have a good time somewhere. Now, that against, how do you think such images of the institution of police, which is the biggest custodian of security for communities, away from the UPDF, but in terms of community liaison, what image does that send for the people in a particular community? And I can give a clear example of places like the Matugas of this world, who may have a police post that has not more than 3 officers to attend to 3 villages. How does that sync well with the Ugandan who makes a phone call on the toll-free like 911 and the whole night goes around and they have not gotten response? There's a direct relationship between behavior.
Yeah.
It is only simple understanding that people cannot feel that the police is for them anymore. Even the few people who have tried to run to police to make alarms, how does police treat that? How does police treat that? Have you heard of this saying in communities in Uganda where someone says, "Kena mwabe ku police ani ndisobola genda we bankwatirayo."
Yes.
Someone picks a national ID and they can't even take it to police. Why? Bajja gamba nze yakoze nze yajibba baba atirako muntu bagala kunzijamu like I'm using Uganda because this is normally how people
Phrase.
all those are
yes.
evidences of the big gap between communities which you're demanding to be part of security systems and the police institution. There is no trust. There's a lot of mistrust, and even when communities have the information, they're afraid
To approach.
because
you
of the
know,
lack of professionalism in some police officers and departments. If I go and say I saw Kirabo at night moving with 7 people, how will the police treat me?
What stands the benefit of being believed?
Won't they say
Yes.
I am? Last time I talked about witness protection laws. So you're demanding communities to be a part of this, but what are you giving to make it easy for them? The information that people have, the Nyonyintono, you'll be surprised. But
Seen them narrating,
trust
and
me,
then they
yes,
give you their
after
sides
some
of the
says-
stories. And
now they only get the confidence
Yeah.
when you have done the hey, twamanya naimna ani agenda ku police bakwate there's a lot of mistrust, and before you demanding a lot from communities, how do we make good the relationship between Nyonyintono and police?
yes.
And that's our cardinal obligation. How is government investing in the PR? In fact, our brother Anatoli, who works with the community liaison, should be able to answer some of these questions. When police is present, do people feel the presence of police? On a scale of 10 cases that communities bring to police, regardless whether family, what is the performance of police? How do we rate police in terms of performance? This should be, when things are done right, no one will even push a community person to go and report a matter or to be a part of security. It will be automatic. But time and again we have narrowed the space of trust between communities and our security institutions. Previously, if you've had sayings that people feel comfortable seeing a UPDF uniform than a police, I don't know if you felt like that before. I have felt like that before, I'll be honest.
In case you're moving at night.
I can tell you something.
Foot patrol,
yes, of UPDF.
Of UPDF, you pass comfortably.
Those
Yes.
guys, like in Yoruba in lockdown,
They'll just as if they have not even seen.
some of us are privileged to move. You would move, you meet them, maybe when they go in a town and it's about 7, they don't beat anyone. The guys, actually they come before, the UPDF get, please close it. They go make a round. Let the police guys come. They focus on PR is important in building confidence with Nyonyintono and police, and that is the only way they can be useful, being
Yes.
part of the security chain. But that is something. But these things of saying, I don't blame Nyonyintono, I'm being honest, and it may sound unfair, but don't expect them to do much or more than they can do. He talked about the fences. That is all brought about by that.
Yes.
Because putting
People
a
actually
fence,
put the fences up,
it's because
feel-
of
The insecurity.
Yeah, they
Yes.
don't feel the presence of the security institution.
Yes.
But if police was present in communities, why would people buying secondary would be not having market?
People have taken the responsibility 100%
Yes,
upon themselves to
personal
protect.
security.
Yes.
You see, everyone now has a full camera system. They have a gun, a bodyguard. They have dogs. But why? That is the evidence that there is a missing piece of security. For example, patrols. How often do you see patrols in communities, either foot or even on motorcades?
You know, actually,
But you see patrols
yes.
escorting a Philomena. Where he's going, his cars have Philo 1, Philo 2, Philo 3, with over 3 patrols.
You know, if I remember well, during
Sweet.
COVID-19, people felt a bit secure because they knew there was security all over the place.
As simple as that.
Yes, in as much as they're trying to enforce, you know, people to make sure that they do whatever they were supposed to do.
Yes, but
people
also,
felt safe. Yes.
Much as I agree with Brother Felix, to a larger extent, but we must also accept that over a time we built the I don't care attitude.
From
Who
the
has been
residents
there? I don't
or
care.
the leadership, police, or everyone.
Even, let me just give you an example, away from even just the fact of security. Look at how communities respond to safety of children. Everyone is for their own kids, you know. Even look at our legislators, people who are in power and have authority. Today I want to tell you, look at these street kids if you're driving just through Philo, you know. Look at the words that some people say. Look at how they look at them and no one seemingly says, but these are children.
Let me just answer Robert that. Do you know that a government institution called KCC at one time came out and passed an ordinance that whoever aids these children is going to be what?
How effective was that?
No, even if they
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you.
So how do you blame a Philomena driving her car when she puts her hand out to assist to try to talk Mujamusim? Come on.
I think that was said, but you rightly know it never worked.
But it was
So what I'm trying to say is there is so much individualism in Ugandans today that even, for example, I've been in some of these village leadership positions, and you tell a person that, well, we are going to have a village meeting, local council meeting. Let's attend and discuss matters of security. When in your community, you have people that matter, responsible people, men and women of integrity, that even have the experience, ideas, and connections. And many of them may never turn up. You have the drunkards, you have the thugs of the community, you have the suspects themselves that may turn up. We have developed so much of I don't care, and even shunned away from responsibility. You're a landlord, you have tenants. It is courtesy, it is humane, and it's for security purposes that you tell these people, I have to introduce you to the local authority. If you've come in you want to rent my apartments, you want to rent my houses, let's go to the chairman, because there's a whole committee there.
Yes.
These are some of the things. Now, when you go there, he will ask, where are you coming from? Maybe do we have a letter? Let's have your national ID. Let's have you in our books. What do? You get it? In case there is a good cooperation, they would even send, this person has been wanted for such a particular crime. But you see, today away from, I'm not stripping or watering down the trust issue between security agencies, police in particular, and the community. But also we must understand that we have begun, there's a lot of laxity, there's a lot of not valuing these things. A person has a neighbor and they have never known who their neighbor is. You go to these apartments. As well, I see a guy, he comes, enters, then goes in the morning, he comes, enters, then goes. I think, what is wrong? Previously, when I was growing up, and I know my colleague Felix has lived long, he can testify to that, you wouldn't sit in a taxi and you don't greet people. How many you would sit there?
A simple good morning, a simple how are you?
But today, an idiot sits in the taxi, then later on he says, no greeting, no what? You know, one time there's a group that was going for burial somewhere. It went bypassing people, then only to reach there and they discover they were attending a burial of another person. Not the actual people that come. So we've lost those simple values that are good for security, that they would ask you, who was your neighbor in a taxi day? I don't know. I was listening to one of the ladies in this footage. They asked her, you know, these men, well, Gaya Abadaja, Naingira, Nabelam, Namanagida. Nothing like, but who is this person? You know, who is your neighbor? The person you're leaving your home, and you're having children around, just say, neighbor Mohali. So much as there are trust issues, but even as a person, because security begins with you. By the time police sometimes may come, however quick it is, it will be post-mortem. But what have you done as individuals, as community, to begin your security? The issues I was telling you for the last 3 decades back never had security, by the way. They never had police posts. They would handle their issues. They would be sure who comes in this community.
Yes.
You know, who comes in this community. They would be sure that in case of any alarm, how do we assist our colleagues? They would make sure that they respect the systems that were in place. The LCs would matter. But today, where we think that, well, as long as I can do this and do this, it is sufficient enough. As long as I'm safe.
And so as we're coming, close to the end of this, Felix, your
there's
final
one thing
submission,
I just want to inform Robert here. You see, the times you're talking about 30 years ago, what was the population of this country? I don't know if you're factoring this in your statements.
Let me tell you.
You know,
increased
wait.
population.
First, wait. When you talk about all these, the possibilities of you see, one of the biggest contributors to criminality is population outburst. This I'm assuming you have read.
And let me also just inform you about this, my brother Felix. You see, criminality always looks for weaknesses and gaps to shrive. When you block these weaknesses or gaps in the security line, criminality never shrives.
Okay.
As long as they target that this is the weakness, that well, because of population increase, there are these gaps. They utilize that, block these gaps. And I think most of the times we've used population increase as an excuse to normalize certain things.
Maybe in response to that, can we actually only attach insecurity cases in the gaps in security itself? Aren't there other reasons that are actually pushing all these insecurities? Is it necessarily the gaps? I mean, when you look at it from the social aspect, when you look at it from the political aspect, when we look at it from the economic aspect, are we right to actually really attach it to the gaps in the security system?
Definitely, I would say so, because criminal-minded people wreck, study, internalize, then execute their missions. No criminal-minded person just wakes up. They look and study and identify these challenges, then take advantage of them. That's what happens.
Well, it is Good Morning Uganda. We'll leave this discussion up to you. Let us know what you think. How do we get communities or community members to be actively vigilant about what's happening around them? How do we cut out the vice of individualism, not wanting to mind other people's businesses? You would think this would never be a good thing, but at this point, we are establishing that sometimes you actually really to mind what it's happening around you. And these are quite some complicated times. We have very many distractions. And yes, this could be the right point for the people to come and distract the security of your society, your community. What have you done? Well, get onto our socials, get onto Twitter, #UBCGMU, and let us know what you think about that. For now, a break. When we get back, what's happening in the dailies?
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Paying for groceries the old way.
3, 4, 5. I don't even know what she's doing.
7, 8, 9. Allow me.
Paying for groceries with the My Airtel app. You have the power in your pocket. The power to conveniently pay for goods and services. Unlock that power with the My Airtel app. Visit the App Store or Google Play now.
That's my wife. Yeah, let me just take this quick. Yeah.
Shopping needs this Christmas. Come to Capital Shoppers. We have a variety of items like gift hampers, foods, garments, cosmetics, and all sorts of drinks. Enjoy your shopping experience this festive season at affordable prices in our fully stocked branches in the following areas: in Tinder Stretcher Road, opposite Makere Business School along Port Bell Road, Duster Street opposite Nakasero Market, and Garden City on Yusuf Lule Road. At Capital Shoppers, we offer you value for your money. To all our customers and suppliers, we thank you for your continuous support. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
It's a new world. We are going global. A new world of greater connectivity. From Entebbe to Dubai, London, Mumbai, and Guangzhou. Welcome aboard a great new experience. Uganda Airlines.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Press review this morning, Daily Monitor. Government tightens fight against land fraud. And of course, calling out your attention. The Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, in a move to check fraud and forgery of land titles, has published details of thousands of titles across the country whose owners are seeking replacement. And again, in another crackdown, how security hunted down suspected ADF rebels in Wakiso, and also giving you about a Christmas Fika Salama drive back on the roads. And there is also a tribute to MP Okabe, illustrious life of a politician, a calm man of God. Now, in more news, snake bites Entebbe International Airport staff on duty. Well, how did that happen? Clearly, you'll be getting the full story in the Daily Monitor. And the second page, taking you back in history. Today, archaeologists discover 5,000-year-old fleet ships near Nile. And still today in history, Berlin Wall opened for the very first time. If your history serves you right, clearly you know what the Berlin Wall was. Who put it up? Why was it put up? And why it's such a big deal to celebrate when it was opened up to the rest of the world.
Well, we also cross over onto the New Vision for this morning. A big headline right there. NSSA Minister summons board via Rugaba right there, saying workers want contracts. Procurement committees have also been probed. That is a story on page 6 of the New Vision. They also give you a picture right there as Parliament and Tesomon MP Okabe and wife, and of course showing what happened at the scene right there. Also in today's Vision, Uganda-US farm signs huge trade deals. That is a story on page 5. And suspected ADF rebels killed in Wakiso. Details are on page 4 of the New Vision. But also crossing over onto the second page, they're showing you right there a picture as the drama ministry members perform a skit about the birth of Jesus Christ at Victory City Church in Ntinda. And also giving you a story as minister tips manufacturers on market. What is at stake? Who is benefiting from that? Where is the market? Talking about the East African regional market with 6 countries involved right there, and the African Continental Free Trade Area. Now today in history, back in 1998, Chirumila's new Express FC chairperson was resigned, and of course that is one they are giving you right there, taking you back in time.
Daily Monitor Sports FIFA ban ref 15 years for fixing matches, and also athletics washed out as Najuma leads Ndeje. And in World Cup again, Argentinians go wild, still giving you quite a full coverage on how these men and women were celebrating the big win. Looking at some reactions, the final is beyond belief, some of the statements that have been aired out, and also looking at the hat-trick, then a heartbreak for Kylian Mbappe. How can something be beautiful and sweet and sour at the same time? You will get the full story over there in the Daily Monitor Sports section.
Well, the New Vision Sport also relatedly talks about the World Cup, FIFA World Cup 2022, Qatar Special. And big thank you to Lionel Messi for the good times. Well, that is talking about the greatest, and also inside more on the stories, the World Cup statistics on the World Cup winners from way back in 1930 up until 2022. They give you more of that. And of course, also a story on over 3,000 students battling for honors at the East African Varsity Games. That is talking about the East African University Games Ndeje 2022. And of course, they give you more details about that, so far how they are standing.
Daily Nation, Ruto's hits and misses. Well, taking stock, of course, and countdown to President's 100 days in office, there is quite lots of comparisons to make. But also, there's certain things that need to be taken note of about his performance in these first 100 days. Well, you can be very excited to get that. Quite a mixed scorecard as Kenya Kwanza clocks 100 days in power on Thursday. Now, with reality dawning on Kenyans that they will wait longer for the president to honor some of his pledges, well, I can say that the Kenyans have begun an audit on the big man. Change impeachment law. Governors now want Parliament to come up with legislation setting a timeline for when MCAs can introduce an impeachment motion. And primary teachers in junior high set for promotion. And puzzle of journalist in grenade drama. Look at that. And again, suspect held in baby's horror attack. What happened? Why did it all go wrong? All of that you can get in the Daily Nation this morning. But also looking at some of our traffic highlights this morning. For the last couple of days, there's been quite a lot of traffic building up on several roads. Now, one would actually say it's maybe because people are quite busy in town, but also there is a lot of movement, of people and also movement of goods. So that is expected. But we also have to put into account that we have seen quite some mess happening on our roads because of the rains and maybe Mollen will be telling us about that, well, quite later, about the weather focus. But yes, today, this morning, looking at areas of Nabweru, looking at areas surrounding Bwaise, Kalere, Kasubi, Masiro Road, Kawala, around this side, I could say it's quite a very busy morning. And taking it all the way from Kasubi, the road is actually tainted in red dots, clearly showing you that it's quite very busy this morning. Looking at Masiro Road, which again crosses through Hoima Road, again there is some quite heavy activity happening there because the road again shows quite some red stretches, meaning that traffic has already been registered in that specific part of the road. Looking at Kawala Road, is not any different from what I've been saying. Again, we can actually witness quite some red stretches over here, and red showing you that the traffic is already heavy as opposed to being orange where it is actually building up. And crossing through via the bypass, of course, again there is some traffic over there. Sa Apollo Kagwa Road, I might say that if this is a route you plan on using this morning, you need to brace yourself, because we're already witnessing again some heavy traffic. We're seeing line and color transitions from red to maroon, clearly showing you that this would be a no-go area. And in any case, if you have an alternative route, maybe go for that. And again, continuing through via to Makere, Kavule, Bombo Road over there, again, we are seeing some traffic in this very specific location. So while you are planning to use these routes, you need to brace yourselves and again, be very careful. I cannot tire from saying that because it's been quite a tricky season. We're already witnessing a number of accidents. We are losing people, and this is not the intention. The ultimate goal here is to make sure we go through the festive season, and it should be much safe and safer for everybody, whether you're a motorist, whether you're a cyclist, you know, or a pedestrian. We want to get through this season and probably continue with the same habit and culture on our roads. And as of course you're continuing through, coming in closer to town, around Wandege again, there is quite some heavy traffic over there, so you should be expecting that. And I don't know if this is going to be the trend all the way up to Christmas, but I believe we're yet to find some more traffic on these roads. And again, I just want us to be very careful while we are at it. But away from that, getting into the weather, well, Mollen, I haven't been around, but wherever I've been, yes, I did feel the pinch of the weather. Every morning, it had been like a specific time. For a minute, I thought this rain is being programmed.
It was actually starting quite early,
yes,
and you kind of wonder whether it's kind of planned that this time of the year it would be doing that. But I think we've witnessed those rains across most areas around Lake Victoria for sure.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but right now, I'm very happy that Ugandans are taking this seriously, because I have seen people plan their movements accordingly. People have gotten to know which alternative routes to use on the roads, especially the parts that don't really flood. People have really decided to buy, you know, jackets and all. But the most interesting...
I'm checking social media yesterday, and
yes,
people were alerting on which roads to use. Someone was saying, unless you have a ship, don't
yes,
pass areas of there. But that was interesting. And someone says, unless you have quite a big car,
yes,
could probably raise, that's when you can afford Ginger Road. That was early morning, and
yes,
people kept giving in feed of where they are and the type of car you need to pass there. And for me, that was interesting. But those rains were really mostly common for areas of Kampala, Wakiso.
Yes.
On the other hand, we did see another part of Uganda crying for the sunshine. The northern part especially, they're dealing with a lot of sunshine. But we do hope that some of these rains will tone it down during Christmas season, although the forecast doesn't really look good in terms of that. We could be looking at more rains, I'm telling you. And usually I think Christmas has been associated with rains.
Yes.
That is one thing that people have noted, but also I think with the climate changing, now the rains that come again are associated with floods. That is what my worry would be all about. Yes, they can be rains, but at least not enough to ruin Christmas for us. Well, that's my hope.
It's the hope, it's the prayer from everyone. Clearly, we want to have a seamless Christmas without any problems, accidents, floods, and all that. We need like a break. We need a commercial break from all these. I feel like we have collected enough trauma this year, and we need to leave that behind. Well, that's it from the traffic updates. Of course, Mollen is coming in to give you more about climate and weather news, and probably tell us whether we should be expecting again some rains as this Tuesday goes by. Otherwise, I want to wish you a very wonderful and beautiful Tuesday. Good morning. I am Philomena Mastiko.
Well, I'll take it from there now as we complain about the rains and whatnot. There are people in the world that are still praying for these rains to come through. Now we're talking about the farmers in Ivory Coast who have had their fair share of drought crisis, and now they are crying out to the entire world, seeing as they are one of the biggest exporters of cocoa is across Africa. Now we do know that their season actually does start from mid-April into September, that is looking into the rains. But for most areas of Ivory Coast right now, the farmers are complaining, saying that they have not had enough production because of the continuous drought crisis, and all this has been linked to climate change. Now they are talking about the fact that especially the central area of Ivory Coast, now the region has been good with development of the April to September mid-crop, that is in terms of production, but because of lack of rainfall in the past, in this year, actually farmers are saying that they have had fears with the quality of the cocoa that comes out, but also the reduction in production, and that is one thing that they are fronting, saying that they need intervention by the government, but also by the climate organizations to make sure that they have a way forward, either through boosting their production or having, alternatives for the farming, because this is something that they are actually in desperate need of, seeing as they are looking at reduced production, yet they are one of the biggest exporters of cocoa in Africa. And of course, they also talk about the fact that the western and the southern part of Ivory Coast has actually been able to keep up with the production, since at least for them they've had quite some rains coming through. But the worst hit part is the central region of Ivory Coast, where there are still more concerns. Now, scientists have come out to raise a concern, being the fact that this is linked to the climate variations, because the seasons actually not performing like they used to, and now they are asking also for government interventions to see that they have alternative activities to go on, especially with activities like irrigation to maintain production that is across Ivory Coast. Now that is still sad news coming from there, but we also look at what else is sad. We're looking at more of the Amazon being cut, and of course now this is also adding to the fact that we've had wildfires for most areas in the world, and part of that is also related to the Amazon, where we're looking at more of the forest cover being cut. Now also we have reports from yesterday. Colombia was reporting that it lost 86,985 hectares of forest throughout September, and this year alone they are reporting more of these losses, especially due to wildfires. And the picture right there is it was taken from the Caqueta area of Colombia, and of course they're looking at more of the land that was destroyed. Of course that is also part of the Amazon jungle, and in the first 9 months of this year they're looking at fires burning all that area. But also a local advocacy group yesterday did report that this has been also triggered by the deforestation as well. Now the deforestation was concentrated in 11 areas across the 5 of the country's provinces. They're looking at Meta, the Caqueta, the Putumayo, and the Guavila and Antiquira group, the areas that the group is reporting about. Now they're asking for conservation, they're asking for sustainable development, as we look into how to keep the Amazon right. And of course, Colombia has also made efforts to make sure that they reforested the area, especially after the wildfires, but still there has been an 11% increase in the loss as of 2022, according to the available reports for now. Now, they're also looking at deforestation in the Amazon area alone, being up to 52,460 hectares. That was in the first half of the year, and also still they're looking at an 11% increase when it comes to loss of this forest cover. And of course we do know that the Brazilian government has also come up to say they are supporting efforts to reforestate the area, but also more funding. The good news is that now we do have other people coming in play when it comes to saving the Amazon. Yesterday, there was also another report coming in from the UK, where the bank has floated $10 billion as a Brazilian bond plan to halt Amazon deforestation. Now, that is the good news coming through. And of course, we did see Brazil coming up at COP27 recently, saying they also have support to maintaining the Amazon, but also a lot of countries did give their commitments to help out Brazil. And now we see the UK coming through to float this money, that is $10 billion to make sure that government can use it, specially designed to help halt destruction on the Amazon rainforest. Now, stopping deforestation of this will actually absorb vast amounts of the planet-warming greenhouse gases, which is also part of President Luiz's agenda as he was getting into office, saying that he is reclaiming leadership on climate change measures. And I think that is really coming at a good time, especially seeing there has been an increase in destruction. And it's important to note that the Amazon is a big rainforest and does affect the entire world, because this is the one area that traps most of these planet-warming gases. And we're talking about a dangerous carbon dioxide. So any effect on the Amazon would actually affect weather all across the world. And I think this is why it is important that countries are also coming up to give their commitment and support for the Amazon. And of course, looking at more commitments that can be done. They have also reached out to the US that did pledge to also give in more support when it comes to that. Now, on a sadder note, also, we look at one of the conferences that have been going on in the European Union. They did bring on table an effort to tackle the climate crisis. And one thing that was expected from this conference is that they would have more funding towards climate action. Now, the bad news is that that did not happen as the conference concluded just a couple of days earlier. They did talk about getting more rich nations involved, but then this is not something that did happen. We're looking at the EU blocking a move to get more monies into climate action, and this is why we're also more concerned. It is no wonder the UN Secretary General, that is Antonio Guterres, the story we're reading this morning, is saying that we better step up in 2023 with the next climate summit. He says that it is a no-nonsense climate summit, and this time they do not want to take anything less than a climate ambitious summit. And of course, they're looking at more to achieve, leaving behind backsliders, greenwashers, and blame shifters, and calling upon most of these rich nations to make good on their promises. Now, that comes at a good time as well. But away from that, we also want to take a look at what is happening back here in the country. And of course, we'll be tapping in from our satellites, but also looking at the forecast for this morning. And that is coming in from the Uganda National Meteorological Authority, looking at what we are expecting for today in terms of weather, but also the temperatures. Now, yesterday we did see a lot of rains across the Lake Victoria Basin, but also much more to that. That was parts of central across western Uganda. Now, we're seeing some of the areas actually expecting a repeat of that, but not in that kind of quantity like we had yesterday. In the forecast for this morning, we start off with the eastern part of Uganda, where we have Suruti, Katakuya, Muria, and Kumi. We are forecasting sunny intervals, and we're starting off quite hot. That will be at 29 degrees centigrade. We look at the eastern side of Central, where we have Ruwero, we have Woblenzi, Ruri, and Nakaseke. We're still forecasting sunny intervals. Quite a clear day for you out there, but also starting off hot at 28 degrees. We look at the central area of northern Uganda, where we have Jumani. We're looking at Gulu, Kitgum, and Padel. We're forecasting sunny intervals. That will be a mix of clouds and sun. Quite hot for this morning. Temperatures are starting off at 29 degrees. Now, the central parts of northern the Lake Victoria Basin, we're looking at areas of Kampala, Entebbe, as well as Wakiso. We are forecasting rains. Those will be coming in later as the morning progresses, also starting off with 24 degrees, quite some cool weather over there. We're also looking at the western part of Lake Victoria. That is where we have areas of Kalisizo, Masaka, Sembabli, and Rakai. We are forecasting rains. Those will be coming in later as the morning progresses, but also looking at quite a chilly day for you right there. Now, southwestern Uganda, we're looking at Mbarara, Bushenyi, Ibanda, and Ribirizi. It's going to be quite a mixture of clouds and sun, and also that is starting off quite pleasant weather. we're looking at 26 degrees centigrade. Now that area does expect to have mostly rainy weather later in the afternoon. And we're looking at areas of Mount Elgon Highlands, Mbale, Bududa, Buko and Sironko. We are forecasting a mix of clouds and sun as well. We're looking at quite a cool 25 degrees starting off this morning. Now the eastern side of Lake Victoria, Tororo, Busia, Iganga and Jinja, we're forecasting light rains. Those will be coming in also later as the morning progresses. Starting off with chilly 25, we do expect more rains to come through. That will be later in the afternoon. Now the satellites are also indicating mostly cloudy weather starting off for the Lake Victoria area. That is where we're seeing mostly cloudy weather, but also quite some sun starting off for the Karamoja region and also parts of northern Uganda, Gulu, Padel, Apache right now as we speak. That is indicated in the grey colors right there. We're looking at quite a sunny morning. Now more clouds are starting to develop for areas of the central area of the country. We're looking at southwestern Uganda, areas of Kabale Highlands and also the Lake Victoria Basin, and those are the same clouds that will be bringing us rains for much of that area later as the morning progresses. Well, that is it. Do prepare for that weather and make sure you're not caught off guard, so you have to deal with bad weather, especially when you do catch rains for this time of the year. And my name is Mollen, Kenyena. I want to wish you a wonderful morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by Gatawo with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial star 165 star 5 star 3 hash to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
It's a new world. We are going global. A new world of greater connectivity. From Entebbe to Dubai, London, Mumbai, and Guangzhou. Welcome aboard a great new experience. Uganda Airlines.
Shoppers. We have a variety of items like gift hampers, foods, garments, cosmetics, and all sorts of drinks. Enjoy your shopping experience this festive season at affordable prices in our fully stocked branches in the following areas: in Tinda Station Road, opposite Makere Business School along Port Bell Road, Duster Street opposite Nakasero Market, and Garden City on Yusuf Lule Road. At Capital Shoppers, we offer you value for your money. To all our customers and suppliers, we thank you for your continuous support. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Dr. Peter Kagwa, the Director of Finance and Administration for the Uganda National Broadcaster, UBC. UBC is Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. This is your TV, 100% Uganda. It is owned by Uganda 100% and it is for you, the citizens. We are here to bring you good things that government actually does for you and give you also the international perspective. The reason why I'm here is to wish you a nice Christmas, and to say that we wish you as UBC good celebrations for Christmas, when our God on earth and the Son of God came and was born on the 25th of December. We don't remember the year very well, but all of you read the Bibles and know better. We are celebrating his birth, and you know he brought us good news of fresh liking and knowing God better. We appreciate everyone that has been with us as UBC for all this year since COVID-19 broke up, and now we have the border, and we realize that all these messages are being championed by the Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. You have supported us. We are very grateful that you, the citizens of Uganda, can embrace your TV. This is your TV, and as a result, you can see that we also decided to actually bring you the World Cup. Hope all of you have enjoyed and have learned a lot of things from this. We have given a lot, and you know by Sunday it will be ending. But the feedback from you has actually encouraged us and given us a lot of hope as we continue to build our national broadcaster. Let's build our national broadcaster. We have been in position for our Christmas when Jesus was born. We have been in a position to decentralize our stations. We have taken our stations to Mbarara, Kasese, Bondibojo, West Nile, Guru, and we are preparing to take our services near to the people in the eastern through Butevo. We are very grateful that you people have supported us and have actually given us the strength to make sure that we deliver to you. Next year, as UBC, we expect to do a lot for you, and we want to thank you for the support and the government at large. Our line ministry, the Minister of ICT and National Guidance, has given us immense support to be in position to deliver to you. Our regulator, UCC, Minister of Finance, Parliament, the ICT committee has supported UBC a lot in our endeavors, and not to mention but a few, the PSST, our president has been very, very much supportive to the national broadcaster. And as many of you, like the close stakeholders, we have been discussing, and we now have funding from government. That's why we strongly now say that we can deliver to you effectively, because many of our areas have not been funded, but at least some of them have been funding. The problems that have hit the national broadcaster during the year, we know are also hitting other government agencies. The funding bit has been low on our side. Our economy is not doing very well, and we accept, but with the little funds that government has been able to support with us, we have done a lot. And the coming year, expect that we shall fully deliver our decentralization program. We shall build the capacity of our staff, continue to build our capacity of our staffing, and make sure that we implement some of our key projects like the direct-to-home. Direct-to-home, which is popularly known as DTH, is new technology that will deliver TV to your doors.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, and thank you for keeping it with us here on UBC TV. Earlier told you we'll be going to the resident of the Most Reverend, Right Reverend Dr.